Hey everybody, thanks for joining. Welcome to Leader Versus Let's Make a Patch. Tonight we are featuring two for the price of one. We've got the MEGAfm from Twisted Electron. This is an FM synthesizer using chips that you would find in the old school Sega Genesis 2 or the Mega Drive 2. This is the MK2 version. The MK1 version would take chips from the original Sega Genesis, which just from comparison online was much noisier. So these ones are much cleaner, still have that amazing Genesis sound. I'd like to get my hands on an MK1 one day as well, but this is totally great for now. Also have with us the Elektron Tonverk. This is Elektron's flagship box that they sent out. They started making about 6 months ago, something like that. It had some pretty rough edges coming out to market that it needed rounded off, but they did a great job so far, in my opinion. A lot of things are fixed. A lot of things are working well. They've had something called the granular system, or the granulator, I think it's called. It's a machine grainer. The grainer, that's right. It's one of their multiple machines that you can actually host down here to kind of do specific tasks. That one specifically will do granular synthesis. So we might bust that out in a little bit, but right now, I already started making a little bit of a song. A song, I guess. I started making this kind of patch, this pattern, earlier this morning, and I just really fell in love with it. So these are just sounds from the MEGAfm. Both have been sampled. I'm not sequencing right now because I'm going to do the next part here shortly, but that's kind of what we have right now. So there is a lot more to those samples. I just have only kind of kept it relatively concise right now for kind of the intro, but we've got a lot more space to kind of open those up, a little bit more movement in those. So that's, again, just those two tracks. We have got 6 more, and we're going to fill them up. Next thing I want to actually do is create some percussion. And that's going to be a little tricky, I'm not going to lie. It's been a while since I've tried to make percussion on FM synthesizer that is more traditional FM versus, say, something like Digitone, where, to be fair, kind of holds your hand a little bit, which is really nice because you get the entire range of FM, but you get these more focused machine parameters. But the MEGAfm is more of like a limited but traditional FM synthesizer. So we have our 4 operators. They blend together in different ways. For operator, essentially consider it like a voice. Your oscillator and everything else in there. You got even a ADSSR envelope. They actually put an R behind all of these, but the idea is you have your attack, your decay, you have your sustain level, which is just a traditional sustain, but then you also have a sustain release. You essentially get one more release stage. So you have a release for the decay, sort of. You have the release for the sustain, and then you, of course, have your regular release. And so you kind of get a little bit more play in the envelope, which is really nice. The more the merrier for stages when it comes to envelopes. I'm always a fan of lots of envelopes. You get a nice little kind of visual representation of what it does here too, which is also nice because that can be handy. Get a couple of LFOs, 3 actually, and they can be assigned to virtually everything in here. I mean, I'm sure there's some limitations, but for the most part, if you wiggle something and then you push this little lock knob, it locks to that LFO. You can have multiple things locked to it. You can even lock an LFO to another LFO. So you can do the kind of, LFO running another LFO, so you can get some real complicated waveforms, which is really nice. You do have an arpeggiator. You got various different voicing options here. Poly 12, which is using all 12 voices of this guy out of one channel. You can do the wide 6, which pairs them. Usually splits them across these 2 outputs here, kind of giving you like a stereo feel. Dual channel 3 is actually an interesting one that I've not used that much. I should probably pull up exactly what it means, but supposedly that is it's for making interesting percussion sounds, is what I believe it said in the manual. And then, of course, you have your traditional unison, which is great too. Great for leads and getting some real detuned funkiness. That's kind of it. There's a few other things, like we do have a dedicated vibrato LFO right here, which is really nice. This is controlling all the different LFO waveforms and how they behave in terms of retrig and loop, which is really cool. You can actually just do one-shot LFOs, which is really nice if you want just kind of a quick envelope creation, which we might actually use for making some percussion. Yeah, that's for the most part. And then just for the Tonverk, I'm not really going to go over the entire Tonverk because it's a very complex but very cool machine. But it is basically a sampler that does a ton of fun stuff. It can auto-sample multi-samples, and that gives you this ability to maybe sample this guy right here, bring it into here, and play it like an instrument, which is awesome because then you don't necessarily have to drag around all your gear. You can just sample it in there and use these things on the go when you're creating or playing. But it also has a bunch of other capabilities. You know, mainly it's designed around sampling, but you do have some MIDI control, which we are going to be using here to actually run to control the MEGAfm, which is really fun to sequence a synthesizer versus just playing it with a keyboard. You also have the really great ability to send all these different channels, which you have 8 general channels, but you can send them up to 4 different subgroups. And you can put different effects on those subgroups. You can sequence those subgroups, so you can have the sounds just really jumping all over the place. And the sequencer on Electron, of course, is top notch. This is the one that finally gets the 256 steps, 16 bars. That's incredible. Yeah. Anyway, I could go off on this thing for all this entire stream, but we're not going to do that. We're mainly going to be just basically doing some sampling using either the normal sampler, which is just literally taking a stereo, or in this case, a mono sample. And then we'll also use the subtracks, which is more geared towards percussion and drum because it's basically having a sample on each one of these subtracks here, allowing you to create essentially a whole drum kit on one track, which is really nice. All right, let's get going. One thing I just realized that I was really pumped about is that the MIDI track, which you do have to select one of these 8 initial tracks here. Well, actually, you could go farther. You can use a MIDI track on almost any of these. But I'm going to stick with the first 8 because that's kind of where I like to think about my sounds coming in. But if you set one of these to a MIDI track, I just realized this today. I wish I had known it earlier. The beautiful thing is when you route the audio in from the synthesizer you're controlling outwardly with MIDI, when you bring it in, you can run it back through that MIDI track. So you don't have to use up another track. So essentially it turns it in kind of like a MIDI external insert, and I think that's fantastic. That is really cool. You don't get all the benefits of an audio track, like you're not going to get a filter. Let's see here if I'm on this track here. So we are still getting just MIDI CC values. But for now, that's great when it comes to recording stuff. When you sample it and then you actually go and use a sampler, so I recorded from track 1, I recorded 2 tracks, 5 and 6. I just sampled them and then basically saved them in the pool, and then I brought them in through the selection process here. That was one of them. And there, once you're in there, you do get all the wonderful features you get in terms of a traditional Electron effects chain. You get your filters, you get your amp stage, you get your filter envelope, you get 2 effects per track, and then you get let's see here, what is it? You get the 2 effects here, and then you get a bunch of envelopes and an additional envelope. I'm sorry, a bunch of LFOs. So you get 4 LFOs and 1 mod envelope, but there is a little bit of a catch. The LFOs, 2 of them apply to the actual voice, if you will, like the filter, the amp stage, all the stuff you're going to see here, and then the other 2 go directly to the effects that you've instantiated, if you have. And so they do get separated that way, but it's still honestly fantastic because it's nice to have LFOs on effects too. That can be really fun, especially some really cool effects in here. All right, let's see. All right, we'll go back to track 1. Let's see if we can make a kick drum, which, like I said, might be a bit challenging, but we're going to go for it. All right. So I did zero everything out here, so it's I'm going to turn these LFOs down too. I don't think they're tied to anything right now. At least they shouldn't be. We'll just turn it back, turn the feedback. Oh, that's interesting. That knob's kind of weird. Should be maybe over here for 0, but it's going a little farther. Our algorithm is set. If you can see here, we're using this middle algorithm here that is allowing me to have 2 individual channels, 3 and 4 operators 3 and 4, are meeting down together to come to the output, and then 1 and 2 are playing with each other and getting down there. So what I'm going to go for is kind of a traditional kick where you're going to have like that low kind of rumbly sound, and then you're going to have like a high-pitched sound that uses an envelope or a decay stage to come down real quick, to kind of mimic that kind of 808 sound, which in itself is trying to mimic a real-life kick where, you know, you've got the big boomy shell sound, but you also have that initial smack of the pedal or the hammer or whatever they call it that's on the foot pedal of a kick drum. When that smacks the drum, you're getting like a high-pitched transient. It's just obviously, it's just happening really quick, and also tends to get muted depending on your playing. So the idea is you get this high, quick transient, but it comes down real quick in terms of pitch. So you get this really kind of full sound that travels quite a bit. Anyway, we're going to try our best to do that. Well, let's see. Okay. Am I getting a decent volume out of it? No, I am not. One thing that can be a little challenging with this guy is the volume goes only from about here to here before you can hear it starts to feed back. So you can get real gritty and dirty, but if you want it to sound nice, you got to keep that volume. I wouldn't say low, because I think it's just hitting this thing kind of low, but you do have to keep it fairly low. All right, let's see. If I go into the sample page, we can get rid of this one. Discard function, no. Yeah, here we go. Monitor. Interesting. I thought I would be getting more volume out of that, but that seems pretty low. Maybe I did something over here. That's a little better. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is mess with operator 4. I'm going to turn operator 2 down. There we go. And we're going to try and get a nice little beefy sound out of this guy. So I'm going to bring this multiplier down. All right. I think we're just way too quiet here. I think I might have to crank this for now. For some reason, why? Oh, in the mixer. Jeez, that's what I'm looking for. There we go. You don't need that guy. Much better. Well, at least somewhat better. But yeah, I mean, as we start adding more stuff, it'll start maxing out that sound. Okay, so let's go back to track 1. This is honestly, the layout of the Tonverk is different than it's just so much different than anything I'm used to with Electron. It throws me off a bit. You know, it's like copying and pasting patterns for whatever reason is more like doing it on the octatrack, which was always an extra step. You have to like hold function, then pattern, then do all this stuff, or hit pattern, hold function, then copy. There's like extra steps. And some of the things that are still like the way they're hidden, like not having a quick page indicator, you can see it up here. So it's like just things are a little bit different. So bear with me is my point. All right, where are we at? Okay, we got our nice beef here. So we're gonna use this use this envelope here to really take that down. Ooh. Okay. I'm getting something there. It's too low though. Oh, I've got some effects on here, don't I? Let's get rid of that. That's funny. I'm just going to get rid of these effects altogether. That was from me messing with the previous sounds. Okay. Yeah, there we go. We're getting something there. Okay, now I'm going to try and get the high-end element. And just in case you're not really familiar too much with FM synthesis, just the kind of brief overview here. You tend to have these last, you can kind of see this little diagram here. The 4 and the 2 are the last ones that go out before they get to the central output. So we call those ones carriers because essentially they're carrying the sound. And they're also taking on whatever the modulators, which are the ones that are going into those. So 3 is going into 4, 1 is going into 2. These are called modulators. They're effectively modulating the 2 and 4 operators. So that's where you're getting this kind of complex sound because you're essentially having two sounds clash together, but one is only coming in and smashing into the bottom one, and then the bottom one is generating the whole sound. So you can hear already. Whoops, how did we lose that so much? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're going to try and get now the higher pitch, very, very quick attack transient here. Okay, we're going to bring this way up. Ooh, I wish I'd go a little higher, but oh well. Okay. So, what I want to do is actually bring this mult down. Okay, it's still really rumbly, but what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use one of the LFOs. I was thinking about using the operator here, but I think I'm going to get a better result from sending one of the LFOs into this mult right here. So let's go ahead and use LFO 3 since it's the closest. So if I wiggle this knob a little bit, let me get back to where I wanted to be. Okay, right there. And now I lock it. This LFO 3 is now controlling this knob right here, this mult knob on operator 2. Okay. Now there's a couple things I need to set here. Is one, I want it to not loop. That would be a traditional LFO, would just keep doing this, but we just want one nice quick sweep. We're going to use this triangle, or I'm sorry, this sawtooth. I'm going to turn the depth up. It's not going to be what we want, but I want to hear it so far. There we go. Ooh. It's got some nice rumble to it as well. I like that. I'm going to turn this, maybe that's what's going on. I'll have my volume way down here pretty low. Ooh, you hear all that noise? Listen. That's killer. I love it. So much dirt. Okay, it's not my prettiest kick, but I think it's okay. We can make this work. So I'm going to go right over to the sampler. You can see we're in the recorder. I'm going to make sure I have the source correct, which I only have one input coming into input A. That is correct. It does look like it also automatically selects USB left as well, but I'm not using anything USB, so that's fine. We don't need to monitor. The recording length is plenty. We don't have to worry about that. All this stuff is good. So I'm just going to hit yes. Do 2 kicks. Let's go ahead and trim, which, there we go. Can zoom in a little bit. I expect really cool ideas and things from Elektron with the Tonverk, but it's honestly, it's not there yet. They got to put slicing on here. I would be shocked if they didn't. That's the one thing I'm really missing on here, but also just some like better tools. These are not bad, but I feel like the Electron or the Octatrack is still king. Great. And we're going to zoom back out, make sure we don't have too much dead space on the end there. Yeah, too much. Let's clean some of that up. End right there. Cool, perfect. I'm gonna hit yes to save it. I'm gonna give it a quick name. Let's call it MF Kit. And then we will give it the name Kick 1. Nice and simple. Okay, great. I'm not going to assign it to anything yet because we're going to bring it in to a subtrack. but we can go ahead and get out of here. Let's now make a snare. Okay, snare, pretty similar concept as a kick, but obviously much higher in the register. So I'm going to go a real easy cheat here and just see if I can just bring up the mult on both of those. Yeah, not quite. It's kind of there. In fact, it's got the body. We just now need the I forget what it's called, the rasp maybe, but it's basically the thing that's underneath that gives you the noise, the kind of crunchy noise sound of a snare. So let's see what we can do. We do have a noise oscillator for our LFO, our noise waveform, but we might not need that yet. Ooh, we're getting there. Ooh. I'm already hearing some fantastic percussion I want to use, but try to see if we can get a kind of real raunchy snare. Ooh. Operator 3 just brought some goodness. Where can we... So our mults are almost all up. Maybe we need to bring... Well, let's figure out which one. Give it this. Okay. Oh. They work together pretty well, but obviously 3 and 4 are, you know, chain one over here is giving most of our snare sound right now. Let's see if we can... There we go. Okay, now let's come over here and see if we can get operator 1 and 2 to give us some nice clean noise. You know what I should probably be doing? Yep, let's do this. Pretty close. I just basically brought this up an octave because I realized I was still playing it down in the kick drum range. Nope. Okay, let's... oh, you know what I need to do? I need to get rid of these guys. So I'm gonna, I think if I just hold it down... Yep. See how the little light there turned... Little screen there says CL. So now that is cleared. So now we have... Okay, the LFO was... I forgot about the LFO. That was clearly taking some of our action away on that, on this mult, I think it was. Let's go ahead and bring some noise in. We're going to bring it into... Let's try the mult. No, that's not... Oh, I should probably put on the loop. Yeah, that's giving us a sample and hold, which makes sense. I should have thought of that. So let's get rid of this. Ooh. Dude, I hear that and I think, what was it? X-Men, Sega Genesis. I feel like that's the sound whenever you hit a bad guy. Yeah. Good memories. Okay, we're getting our snare there. Our noise. Now we need to... Man, that is a tough one. It sucks too because I know I've been messing around and getting some real good noise. Maybe the feedback needs to be turned up. That helps a little bit. All right, let's... Wish there was. Wish there was, like, once you get something, you start using it, you could like fine tune a little bit better, but not quite. And we might just go with some nasty drums. Not even trying to get that noise. Let's just try a different algorithm for fun. Nah, that's the best one. Okay, well, we're gonna move along. And I know there's something I could do, but I just can't find it. Oh, there it is. Sorry if that was too loud. Ooh. I think I'm going to go ahead and record this, and then I can just obviously, you know, do a little bit of fine tuning on the Tonverk. So let's go ahead and record that because I think that sounds great. All right, we're going to discard this. Yeah, ooh, boy. That's got that kind of little siren-y thing going on in the background. I love it. Love it. Okay. All right, trim it up a little bit, zoom it in there. Get real close so we can get that nice and clean right here. Where's that zero crossing? There we go. This is the end. Oh, zoom. Let's go back to the end. Did I take it so far? I took the second one out. Oh, strange. It's not playing the second sound. Whatever. We got the first one. That'll work. Okay, let's save it. Let's see, we did MF, KIT, and then we did snare 1. Or we will do snare. Whoops, what's snack? Snare 1. Great. Not going to save it. It's in the pool now. We're going to come back to it. Let's make a hi-hat sound real quick. I'm probably going to use this same thing and just try to make like a little higher pitch if I can get this. I need to shorten the decay on that guy. Oh, nope. I need that. Let's go up an octave. Probably going to cheat here and just make a nice open hat and then again use the Tonverk to fine tune it. Because we got a lot of low end going on here. I think we might be able to pull something out of here. I'm not getting anything from that, really. Yeah, let's just bringing it out longer. There's like nothing coming out of this one. There it is. We'll just use it. It'll work. Beauty of a good sampler is you can really make any sound sound good. Cool. Trim it up. Again, they're real nice and close. That zero crossing right there. Come over to the end. Probably not going to play anyways. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Well, that's weird. Where'd the sample go? This must be something weird. As you can see. I'm messing with pan, but I could, oh, maybe that's not, I don't know what is going on because the pan, weird. I don't know. Seems I've lost it, but it seems to be there still. So save it. See if it's still there afterwards. MF KIT, and we are doing, we'll call it just hat. Hat 1. You know what? I'm going to go hat 1 open. Pretty obvious, but this way I can call the other one closed once I figured it out. Okay, nope. I'm wondering. No, that might not even been there. I am going to just go ahead and do this one again. But I feel like that didn't work. Okay. Maybe I'm not go too crazy with the zoom knob here. Let's get this one in the beginning. Cool. That's good enough. Let's just call it the same thing. Well, I wonder if it'll overwrite. Sometimes it'll. Just go ahead and do an addendum to it. MF kit. This is open. Let's call it hat. That's right. Hat. Oops. I think it was hat 1. Open. File ready. Boom. That's what I want. And nope. Okay. So, you know what? Let's do one more percussion sample because I want something really kind of wacky. So let's go kind of try and zero out here a little bit. So I'm going to bring detune to the middle, detune to the middle, and mult. I'm going to put about 8 for those. Keep 8 for both. For some reason I think it's like 4 for the top ones. That makes it sound like it's more of a neutral pitch. Detune in the middle. Mult down to 8. I'm going to bring the level down for this. Zero out these guys. And to do that, I go for the kind of standard synth initialized envelope, which is your attack and decay all the way down. This has the 2 sustain stages, so both of those have to go up, and then you release down, and that kind of gives you the traditional like instant on, instant off if you're playing on a keyboard. Total volume's up there. AR, DR, SL, SR, boom, boom, boom. That's all good. Malts are low, malts are good. Same one here. Okay, this should be totally neutral. Let's go ahead and clear out. I don't think I did any other LFOs, so I think that's probably good. There we go. Oops. What's going on here? Okay, so kind of a standard sound right there. Let's see, we're gonna go something mid-range. I would like to create a crash, but that's just a little beyond me right now. I feel like I'd be wasting a lot of time trying to get something good. Let's just try to kind of get an eerie, wonky percussion sound. We'll start with the malt maybe a little higher. No, we don't do that. We'll go back there. Let's bring in operator 3. I think what I'm going to do, I like that there, and I'm actually going to come over to LFO 1. I was just messing with the total volume. I'll do it again though just to make sure. For the last knob you touch, come over here and click on the locking mechanism here. I do like to loop my LFOs instead of having a one shot. I'm going to go with the square this time. Kick up the rate and depth. Let's see what we get. Woo! Try a real fast rate. You know, we might not try a loop and just treat this thing. Yeah, okay. Let's get rid of this long sustain. There we go. Get rid of the sustain. Okay. took it all out there. Okay. Nice little kind of burst of something. All right, let's bring in our other pair. We're definitely bringing the mult up on that guy. Gonna do what we did before and bring the sustain all the way down. Just go with the decay. It's too long. Nah, it's too... Oh, you know what? I know. Been talking about it. Let's go to this dual channel 3. Is that where I'm at? Oh. I'll have to look what it is actually doing, but I'm assuming, obviously... Well, I would think it'd be operator 3. I need to get rid of that long drone. No. Ooh. Oh my god, I love that sound, but I'm getting that low. Where's that drone coming from? It's not from there. Ooh. Do I have the delay going on in this thing? Oh, did I turn the ARP on? Well, that's... Oh, I'm in unison mode somehow. I don't know how that happened. Well, that's that, but... I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, I guess maybe it's the dual channel 3 thing going on, because I'm getting this weird... Getting delay, and I'm not even familiar with there being a delay on here. Wow, it's so weird. Oh, it wasn't, you know, just kind of the way the operators are working, I guess. Man, so, ooh. Something's not re-triggering because that... Make sure all these, I don't think these are related to them, but... Okay. We're going to go ahead and record these. Yeah, that works. We're going to record these, and then I'll just separate them out because I'm getting, essentially, get a nice little array of sounds here. So, discard this one, hit yes. Cool. Fantastic. We just got a bunch of great little funky samples. Yeah, that's a nice little clean tom kind of sound going on. Let's trim the end. Very cool. Oh, I didn't normalize the other ones. Oh well. Sure, it'll be fine. Yeah, it's not changing much. All right, let's go ahead and save this one. This is the boring part. Try to make it quick as possible. MF KIT. What are we calling this? Just perc. PERC. PRC. We'll call it 1. Oops. Good enough for me. Okay, so. That's not too bad. All right, we are going to crank up some of these samples across a new sub-track. So I'm actually going to stick, I've kind of just separated right now, even though I don't really need to, but one's been my main MIDI control track, and I've kind of just started at 5. So I got 5 and 6 occupied. We're going to go with 8 for our drum track today. I am going to go and go to the source, select subtracks, create new. So now we have 8 empty subtracks. Just the, I guess you would call them the naturals if you want, but this is kind of mimicking a keyboard. You can see C, C sharp, B, B, well, I'm sorry, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, so on. So just the naturals, this row right here, are going to represent your 8 tracks. So let's hold FN, come in here, oops, let go of that, and single samples maybe? No, recordings, here we go. All right, perfect. So we got our kick. Awesome. We got our hat. Oh, I see. Can I switch? Oh, that would have been, there probably is a way and I'm just not seeing it, but it'd be nice if I could just go through and record these all, but does not seem like I can. No, gotta be a way. I just don't know. I will hit yes, oops, hit yes, then no. Come back out, go to the next one. There's got to be a way for that. That would be horrible if they didn't get that going, but whatever. We can work around it. Not that bad, really. Kit, do I have 2? Oh, that was my hats. I put that in the wrong one. So this is 3. I want that there. Okay, now go back to track 2, and we're going to put that a snare in there. 2. There's the snare. Okay, and then to track 4. Subtrack 4, I should call it. We'll do perk. We're going to do that for the rest of them too. So 4. Because I'm going to use that same sample, which is great. You can reference that same sample. Oh, no. I can't? No way. That is new. I'll have to figure out how to get around that. That's a bummer. No, that can't be right, though. There's just got to be a workaround for that because, I mean, that defeats so much. Yeah. Well, dang. Yeah, because it doesn't give me... Wow, that's interesting. All right, I just learned something. We're going to have to be a little more creative. Man, that's a bummer. I wonder if I can actually go back, save it again. I'm going to have to do that. Yeah, we're going to have to do it again. I'm sorry. We're going to have to do that again because for some reason it's not letting me reference that sample multiple times. So I have to save this over a few times. That's a bummer. Yeah, they'll fix it. I know, but it just sucks that it's that way now. What are we calling this? This is going to be perk 2, I guess. PERC2. Okay. No, and then we will save it again. Oh, I wish I could just copy paste that, but I cannot. M F K I T perk 3. Oop. Okay, we're gonna do one more because there was definitely 4 sounds in there that I liked. All right. M F. I'm saying these out loud because it helps me actually get this done. Kit space, and then we're doing the perk. PERC. This is number 4. Okay, I think 4's plenty. Okay. So we can go ahead and just zap this down. Good, look at, oh, wait a minute. Maybe you can do it, but why is it? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Because I couldn't select it in here. I don't think I could. Let's try it. Perk 1, sub 4, and it's playing on... Yeah, it don't make any sense to me. But alright, we're just going to do it the way I was going to do it anyways, because here we are. Okay. So there probably is some workaround, or maybe something's not representing properly, but here's our first sound. Okay, we want that kind of wacky. Ooh, no, actually I want this one next. Where's my ending? Length. Why is that no? Oh, it just took a while to catch up. Okay, I must have turned loop on. Yep, I did. Okay. Kind of pretty similar. I probably need 3 of them. Let's try this guy. Where's my ending? There it is. Okay, one last one, see if we can find one more sound. What we got? Okay. Yeah, nice little clean one at the end. Nah, it's the same. Okay, what we'll do is we're going to grab this one here. I think I'm already using. No. It's a little different. I'm just going to say what I'm going to do is reverse it, which we might do. See if we can reverse it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's clean up a little bit. Maybe not too boomy on the bass. Let's bring this back. We only need the one kick. Okay, let's bring some of this filtering in here. Okay, what I'm doing is basically shaving off the high end, but using the envelope to kind of let that high end breathe a little bit in the beginning. Do I get 2 filters? I do, but they're only... Yeah, I was thinking about... Let me hear. Yeah, we need a big boost in volume, that's for sure. Actually need to come a little down. Too rumbly. Okay, shorten our amp. Cool, I like that. Really noisy. It's got that little rumble at the end. Oh, that's not too bad. Alright, the snare needs a lot of work. Let's get this guy straightened out. So we're going to go right to our amp first of all. Man, we lose so much body. But we can bring that back. Cool. I'm alright with that. That sounds pretty good. Alright, here's our tricky part, but I think this might not actually be that bad. Let's see if we can pitch this. So what I should have done, now that I think about it, I should be using this twice. I should have sampled this one twice. So what I'm going to try and do real quick, see if I can bring this one over to here. I wonder if there's a way to do that quickly. Let's see. See if I function copy. Nope, that's a pattern. Not what I want. Track, copy. There we go. Paste it down here. Nope, that did not work. Sure looked like it worked. No, dang. Alright, well, I'll just go ahead and do a little extra work here, I guess. Oh, that's my kitty. Hey, bud, come here. Here, wanna make your YouTube debut? This is Nero. A little void kitty. Oh, hey, buddy. His name is Nero Darkstar Pipistrella. He is a sweet kitty. He was a rescue. He was a feral kitty, so him and his sister were not very friendly to us at first, but eventually they became very sweet kitties. Okay. Did I not just set that? Okay, I did. Okay. Let's go ahead and just mess with this since it's already here. Just going to try and really get kind of a tom sound here. So we can use that one track, and maybe as we write some actual stuff in the sequence here, we can kind of pitch it down to kind of give us that kind of like boom, 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 little snare roll. I mean, tom roll. Okay. Well, I wish that was easy to do, but let's see if we can find. Say, look, it is still in the same one. So, okay, I guess you can. I just was not figuring it out well enough. Hat. Interesting. Let's see if I can copy this over. Nope. There's gotta be a way to do that. Why am I getting so much? Oh, that's why. My length is not long enough. Okay, we're going to shorten this one quite a bit. You know, I don't know if there's a choke mechanism. There probably is, but I don't know. Velocity, envelope, preset. No, it's all FX. Mod's not going to have it. It would be in trig, maybe. No. Yeah, maybe there's one buried somewhere, but I'm not worried about it right now. Okay. Let's get that a little bit brighter. Need a little bit more. Oh, we need to bring over this guy for this one as well. Yeah, it's working, but it's working. This is just a goofy little sound. We'll probably just keep that how that is. Like an angry duck or something. Let's bring this a bit. Ooh, I think I can hear a... Oop. one right at the beginning there. I don't want to delay in the beginning. Where is it? It's so nice to be able to zoom in. Ooh, we can use that. I'm going to boost it up. Cool, I think we got something going on here. Oh man, I'm liking this. Okay, where's my amp? Let's do some filter trickery with this guy. Just gonna go from I love this little trick where you use a high pass filter. What you do is you use the resonance to focus on that lower sound, that lower pitch. Hear that? Actually gave some body to it. It was there, we just had to pull it out with that EQ. Cool. Okay. Woo, that took some time. Almost an hour to get that drum set together. Okay. Let's see what we can do. So first thing, I'm going to come over and I'm going to start mixing these down a little bit. Where is my mixer? Always getting lost. That is not what we want. We go right to the tracks. Track 5. Going to bring the level down. Let's just say about 70. Go to track 6, same thing. 6.9 is good enough. And I did something. What did I do? Did I change the pattern? Oh, I did. So, of course, that didn't do what I needed to do. Bring this down to 70 again. To track 6, down to 70. Okay. Okay, we are using track 8. Okay, what are we going to do? 4 on the floor? Let's just see what we get. Always a good one to start off with. So, I can already hear like the pattern that's going on underneath doesn't really fit great with the 4 on the floor right now, but I feel like we shuffled in some things in there with the drums. We could get something going. Might have to tighten up those patterns. Let's try that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Missing something there. Where's that cat there? Okay, let's tighten up. We're going to quantize, just that 8, track 8. There we go. That's just some sloppy playing. Okay, we got a big cacophony going on here right now. All the sounds are just kind of smack dab in the middle. So it sounds very, very dense and too crowded to me. But we got some fun ideas going so far. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is bring over I'm going to move over the hats, the hat-ish sounds. And across the other direction with this guy, whatever that might be. I'm going to go ahead and clean up. Okay. So one thing that's a huge bummer, I don't know if it'll change because it is kind of the nature of the sub track and it does make sense, but it's definitely a bummer. I wish there was enough power. Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but nonetheless, it's a bit of a bummer that you cannot apply one effect to one subtrack. So, for example, I would like to have some delay on those dry sounding hi-hats to kind of give them a little bit of that shuffle. But unfortunately, it is essentially a global effect for that entire track. So the kick drum, the snare drum, all that stuff's going to get that delay. I'm going to try and put some in there, and we'll see if maybe it works. I'm going to take some of this low end energy out of this one too. Oh, that's weird. Oh, wrong one. That's better. What is it? Is that? Oh, think about that. Let me see. Do. It is going back. Where is this one? It's a little earlier. Let me see if I match it. Nope. That's not too bad. With a little bit of this odd syncopation going on there, but it's not too bad at all. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of this delay on here. If I go to the FX for the delay, so we got to figure out, this is our sends. These three, 13, 14, 15, represent our send tracks on the Tonverk. So currently you can actually replace these, which is really fun. Usually these are always hardwired as your chorus, your reverb, and your delay. They are there, but you can swap them out for any other effect too, which is really nice. But I'm going to use the delay where it is, which is on send 14. If I go to, send, aka track 14, go here and hit FX. That's not what I want to do. I was already there. I guess I just had to hit the FX page. There we go. Saturator delay. And I'm going to take this little filter here, this high pass, and I'm going to sweep out all of the low end frequencies. So basically the delay will only be reacting to the high frequencies of this drum kit. So we should be able to eliminate that issue that I had where I was worried about too much delay on other sounds. Let's widen it up a little bit. Ping pong. I like everything, but those two sounds that are they're clashing. So being that is a reverse sound, whoops. Where am I? It was track 8. I'm going to see if maybe I just need to bump it up. Oh, but that's a problem because I used quantize. Dang, and that's what happened, I bet. Man, I really wish, I think it's on the modal samples too, but the modal cycles has this commit quantization feature where you get everything quantized by using the quantization feature, and then you apply it, and then it frees up everything, so everything gets shifted to the quantized places, and then it's as if your track has no quantization on it, so then you can go back and freely move things around. God, I wish they would put that. Why that's not on every machine drives me crazy, because now unfortunately I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go back here and set every one of these manually. Where am I at here? Track 8. Where's all my... Oh, am I on No. Source. Weird. Okay. I swear that I'd already done that. Yeah, I'm not getting any pages. Oh, I don't have any snare. That's why. Okay. Well, let's hear if we just take the quantization off. Quantization's here. See if... You know what? It's not even worth it. It's not even worth messing with that sound right now. I wonder if I go back and just take one of these out. Let's take this one out for now. That works. Okay. That track is annoying me. Let's go ahead and zap more of this out and maybe bring this. Ironically, that sound became a far better hi-hat sound than the ones I had actually said to be hi-hat sounds. Okay, we've got a very repetitive little rhythm going on here. I think it's got some promise, but it's sounding, it's got something, but it's just too repetitive and too short. So I think a couple things we can do is we can break out the drums a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just start a new pattern. What is this device? Oh, hey. Well, so we've got two devices. We have got the MEGAfm, which is a synthesizer based off of the Sega Genesis, a video game system. Sega Genesis Model 2, or also known as the Mega Drive 2 in Europe, and I believe Japan might have called it the Mega Drive 2. So yeah, this is from a French or Italian company called Twisted Electron. Very cool. Honestly, people have asked before, like, oh, would this be a good idea for a synth? I'm like, it's a very, very specific sound. It's a very old kind of lo-fi FM synth. This is the Elektron Tonverk. This is Electron, a Swedish company. They make very, very cool synthesizers. This is their most recent product. It is a sampler, a multi-sampler. Does a whole lot of cool stuff. Yeah, this is like a powerhouse DAW in a box kind of thing. Obviously not everything a DAW does, but like a whole bunch of cool features. And I've written some really fun music with it, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. And it's very versatile, so you can do all sorts of stuff. Like this music we're making right now, or I'm making right now, is not something I normally make, but I just started messing with this kind of thing. Had this dirty lo-fi kind of thing going on, and I was just like, oh, this is great. So, all right, let's see what we can do. Let's breathe this thing a little bit, get some more air going for it. What's pattern 1? Interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and copy by hitting pattern, function copy, hit pattern again, select pattern 3, function paste. Let's make sure it works. Okay, cool. So while we're here, I'm going to mute this. I'll mute everything but 5, which is going to give us this sound. Yeah, I think honestly, I think it was fun to start with a 4 on the floor drum beat, but I think this is not a 4 on the floor. I think I got to follow the rhythm of this. So I think I'm going to start here. So I'm actually going to bring the drums back in. So let's go ahead and, I wish there was a way to clear out the drums altogether. Maybe there is, but I'm not sure. So let's just go ahead and, oops, track 8. Let's just go ahead and clear these out. Probably a way to do this quicker. I will have to figure it out because I can imagine every one of these tracks, every of the first 8 tracks can be multiple different machines or all the same machine. I've coded YM spelling. I did not know that. Oh yeah. So yeah, the YM 2612. So technically this is not the 2612. This is like the 3848. The 2612, 2612 was the original chip in the Sega Genesis Model 1. It is noisier. It is a little bit more unpredictable from my understanding. And the MK1 version of the MEGAfm had those chips. This is technically the MK2. I think it was either a combination of him running out of the chips. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. The guy who built these, I believe, I'm not sure, ran out of the first run chips, so he started sourcing the second runs, which were I think 38, 48, something like that. Point being, this is a bit cleaner sounding, even though it's very dirty and aggressive sounding. It's actually cleaner than the MK1. I would like to get an MK1 as well, though, because I was a huge Sega Genesis kid, and I love the music. And to know that, like, I literally have a synthesizer with the chips in it is pretty amazing. But there are a couple different hardware versions. I know Sonicware did one. Theirs is emulated. There's no chips for like no 2612s or whatever the ones for the Model 2 is. But it is emulated. So yeah, I love the 2612 chips. I love this whatever one's in here too. Just the Sega Genesis sound is just such amazing. And I didn't know at all that it literally had the synthesizer chips in it, the Sega Genesis. So when you were listening to music, it was like a synth was being in its own proprietary MIDI format played to make you hear the sounds, and I think that's amazing. Okay. Let's see if I can find like a decent... Let's tighten it up a little bit. Oops. Man, I do that so much. Where did I go? Track A. There we go. Okay, that's a little better. Here, my cat's getting into trouble. Okay, we're going to manually quantize these ones so we don't have to interfere with the quantization feature. Well, that's weird, it's not letting me get on that center. Must be 2 hits there. I was doing it too. Alright. Probably again something I'm not familiar with. Okay. One of the best features of the Electron sequencer is the, what do they call them? The retrigs. Which, boy oh boy, where are those guys? Sequencer lane, setup. Oh, where is the retrigs? Step at it? No. Dude, don't tell me this thing doesn't have retrigs. Well, I don't know. Sequencer 8, we got our 2, okay. Well, dang, I know there's got to be retrigs on here. But I can't remember how to get them. Anybody out there? Nope. It's going to be some key combination that they did not put on here for some reason. Recall, memorize. Nope, we're not dealing with that. Metronome, quantize, scale. Nope. Subtract, assign. Transition, perform. Routing, track, pattern, mute. ARP, chord, song. Toggle on, off. No, 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 no. Undo, redo, trig mode. Tracks, velocity. No, that's something different. Well, dang. I know it's got to be here somewhere. Oh, it's right on the page. Oh my gosh. You used to have to bring up a menu, a little sub-menu or a overlay menu that would come up, but it's literally on the trig page. There it is right there. Okay. All right, retrig. I was like, there's got to be retrig. That's like so standard. We're going to boot that to 16. See if we can get some 30 seconds. I will say they've got some work to do on the encoders. Like, look at how hard I'm turning, nothing's happening. Oh, there it goes. See, it's so hard to get it. Oh, come on. It's like you turn and turn and nothing happens, and all of a sudden it just starts happening real fast. I'm just trying to get 1/32. Right in between there. Ah, there it is. There we go. I'm going to add one here, and we're going to go to 2 steps. And I'm going to do retrig. We're going to do a nice fast one. See if we can get 164. Come on. All right. Okay. I like that, but we're going to have to boost the pitch. So we get a nice high little bright thing going on here. I'm going to shorten to, I think we need about 1.5 steps, which will give us 3 repeats. Yeah, there we go. That's the cool part. These are parameter locks. You can adjust any note trig, or even ones that don't have notes on them. You can basically lock any of the parameters, most of the parameters, to that specific trig. You can hear that little 1/64 trig is pitched up and also in the right side, while everything else is in the left. Love that. Okay, I'm liking this so far, but I think I have to go back and get this. I think I need to get longer. I need more variation. It's just too repetitive at that short of length. So we're at track 5. Let's go to our source. We can see we have this entire thing, but we're only using that much of it. And what's cool is you can see it's actually playing. One trig is playing while the other one's coming too, because we have multiple trigs playing here. So I am going to try and increase the pages. So now we're doing 4 bars instead of 1. This is capable of 16 bars. Unheard of in the world of Electron. This is a totally new, they're calling it the new platform, and 16 bars. Almost all the other ones I have, except for the Digitone 2, are stuck at 4 bars. You get scale options, so you can kind of increase. You can say, okay, I want those 4 bars, but I want them to be half as fast. So you can sort of get 128 steps. You don't get that. You don't get 128 steps, but you can make a 64 bar sequence stretch out longer. If that makes sense. By setting it to 128, you're basically stretching out. Each step is no longer a 16th note; it's now an 8th note. So if you were playing chords, you know, you can make it, if like playing real kind of long, drawn out chords, you can stretch it to be multiple bars, like probably up to 32 bars, 16 bars, something like that on the old machines. Now you can get crazy with it, because if you scaled it all the way down to 1/8 but used all 16 bars, I mean, it'd be like playing a whole album off of one pattern, because it could be so long. So anyways, I'm super excited about the ability to have that many bars. If you're not aware, tomorrow's the big Syntac OS update. They've been talking about it a lot. Everybody's hoping we're going to get 8 bars on that. I really, really hope so. Or better yet, maybe even 16, and they can do that to Digitone 2. We'll see. But all my other stuff, I mean, I got like MK1, Analog Rhythm, and Analog 4, and the Octatrack. They've 4 bars. That's it. That's what you're getting. Right. So we are going to, we doubled this. I'm going to take this one out for now, and this one out. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we right there have to increase the length. So go back to trig. Length is 16. I'm going to crank it up to 20, 30. Let's say 30. Okay, I did a couple of bars, so I'm going to get rid of this guy and that guy, or that guy. Okay, we'll have to go back and adjust. Just going to crank them all up to 32. We'll have some overlap, which is totally fine. That is something that's really exciting. Unlike, I think, almost all of the Electrons that I can think of off the top of my head right now, this has polyphony per track. You can have 8 voices per track. Pairing that with an auto-sampled sound, I mean, you can have a massive amount of stuff happening here. So, I mean, 8 tracks, 8 voices, you effectively get 64 polyphony on this, which is, again, unheard of in the Electron realm. So this is a huge step forward for them. Right. I'm going to try something real goofy here. I'm going to pitch this up. Let's try an octave just to keep it clean. Okay, but I want it to end. That was way too long. That's 32. We're going to go to 2 steps. So it's just going to happen real quick right before that next trig occurs. Might make this monophonic just to make it easier. So I'm going to do some fun magic here. We're going to kick this over to the left. We're going to bathe it in some reverb, maybe just a hair delay. And we should, can we? Yes, they do have track preview. That's awesome. That was a new addition, I don't know, multiple years ago, but that's what that sounds like now. That'll be a nice little hiccup sound in there. Okay, let's do some more of that. Okay, I think something here and there and there. Let's see what we get with these. You know, I am going to go ahead and go to play mode, and we'll call this mono. So now I don't have to worry about these trigs overlapping each other, because as soon as the next one plays, it'll cut off the previous. I already got to fix that real quick. Where was that on? It was this one. I'm going to go to the filter, and I'm going to take out some of that low end energy. There we go. Ooh, that's getting funky wonky. Okay, now we're going to do one last thing to really mess it up. 64 steps, right? I'm going to take it to 62. So what that's going to do now is I'm going to keep the drum kit on a 64 step sequence. So, you know, we're not going to do 4 on the floor, but just imagine doing 4 on the floor. It's going to be nice and even, 64 steps. That's, what is that, 16 bars? I'm sorry, no, 64 steps. It's 4 bars, 4 bars. And it's going to stick to that. But now the other pattern is going to get up to 62 steps and start over. Because it's an even number, it's not going to be as jarring, if that's the right word. But that's effectively creating a polyrhythm, which I love to do. And the idea is, therefore, you have one sequence that's going to go all the way to the end and start over. You're going to have one that's going to be with it in the beginning, but then it's going to start over slightly quicker. It's going to be ahead and start over quicker. And eventually, after many bars, it will line up again. So that's really fun. Let's see what I have for the drum set. I feel like I gotta take that. Yeah, I feel like, okay, let's take this out of here again. Oh, what did I do? I went to routing. Mute. I feel like I gotta take the middle. Whatever you want to call that. It's almost like a snare, robot snare sound. I need to get rid of that. So it's happening right there. Okay, it's right about here. So let's see if I can just kind of blast it out by dipping the volume and then doing it again to bring it back. Maybe I need to do it here instead. Cool, I like that. It's not a perfect fix, but it'll do. Oops. Yeah, it's getting pretty raunchy. I love this. Okay, I'm going to bring the drums back in. So I'm going to fix one thing. I do like it. It's kind of, the polyrhythm is interesting, but it's actually kind of pulling away from itself because it's shifting whatever that sound is. I keep calling kind of a snare, like a robot snare. So I'm going to make it a little bit more even. And now it's 60, so that means it's 4 steps difference versus the other one. And that should kind of even out that snare hit so that it's still happening relatively around the same time. Okay. I mean, it doesn't sound like a song yet. It sounds like some weirdness, but I mean, I hear a song in it, and it's close to me, and I think, hey, once the parts are really fitting together well, that's gonna sound pretty cool. So we're getting close. Like, I personally like it, but I imagine most people would hear that and be like, well, I don't know, this just sounds like a bunch of noise chaos, but sometimes that's what I like. Where was our other part? 6. Okay. No promises. This might sound awful, but let's hear it. This is bringing back the other part that honestly I can't even remember what it sounds like, but let's hear it. Okay, that's cool because I can already hear exactly what I want to do with that. That was 6. Yep. So. Right there. It's on the 4th. So we only have one page. I now created 4 bars of 16 steps. So on the 4th one, I need something different. It's here. See if we can find. Ooh, that might have been it right there. Listen. I need to have that bum 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 bum. Maybe if we bring this back here. I might go back, but I kind of liked the idea of pushing this change on this sound a little front back. Close. I tried 7. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I could try 6. I think that's gonna be offbeat, but let's hear it. It was 6. Dude. Okay. I'm digging this so far. So I've already got another idea. I'm going to go pattern, function copy, pattern to pattern 4, paste. So now we should be on this. Oops. Track 8. I'm going to bring in this snare. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and just manually do them because I'm sure my timing will suck. Okay, we need to fix that snare a little bit. Only thing that sucks about sampling, not the only thing, but one of the things, is that you really can't go back in and separate the sound out because you can hear there's 2 things going on. There's the body of this snare, and then there's the rasp of the snare. And I can't do anything separately. I have to affect everything now because it's a static sound. You know what? Let's bring in, where's my overdrive? I got that. And I'm not gonna mess with chorus. Well, let's see if I can do something that I like to do, which is I like to use, in addition to the amp envelope, I want a real snappy snare. So I'm going to come over and find my 1-shot. Right, that's what I want. Trig mode, and we're going to increase the BPM. I'll go 16 for now. I'm going to bring this over to the exponential. What do we want? Yeah, exponential. And we're going to bring this to the attack. I'm sorry, the amp volume. I'm going to go back to the amp volume. I'm going to turn it down. Now, you can see I have 0. I can hear a little bit, but that's because I just have a little bit of that LFO depth. But as I increase the depth, it's going to jack that volume up real quick and then hopefully bring it down real quick. Makes it a little snappier. So why is that happening? It's not triggering every time. Listen. Strange. It's almost like I have a probability on there, but I don't. Well, that's really strange. Why would that be only happening once in a while? Well, let's try and mute everything else real quick and see if... Huh. It's there now, but in the beginning... That's weird. So I will say about this about Elektron gear, I love it. It's some of the best gear in the planet, and hands down, I have no regrets ever buying any piece, even when I bought the Tonverk, I think like within the first few days it was released. Buggy as hell. Now, it's gotten a lot better, like I mentioned earlier in the stream. But I've kind of had an unwritten rule, and hopefully this doesn't piss Elektron off too much. But for a long time... Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I hope you can hang out longer next time if I see you. Yes, I hope so as well. I'm sorry I missed all your questions there. I just learned about FM a month ago. I was trying to test all the... Yeah, FM's... I know you're probably gone now, but just in case you come back and watch this, but FM is a totally massive beast of understanding. Like, it is science, baby. Like... You gotta, if you say to yourself, I want to make a very realistic violin patch in FM, I'll tell you what, you can, but man, get ready, because you are going to have to work your butt off. But that's the idea, is that the more capable something is, the more you need to understand it to be really fine-tune what it's able to do. But anyways, I would highly recommend to anybody out there, if you want to get into FM, but you don't want to cut your teeth on all the very heavy duty frequencies and all that kind of stuff, you really have to figure out how to make things sound good or interesting. Get a digitone from Elektron. Their whole philosophy with that synthesizer was to turn the FM synthesizer into a subtractive or kind of traditional style synthesizer, basically simplifying it in many ways. But initially when it came out, it was relatively simple. They added all the other things that can allow you to make any FM patch. So you get the entire spectrum of FM capability, but you can also use it very simply. So the Digitone 2, the new one, they even created some special machines like the FM drum machine that has curated parameters to really just help you focus on making drum sounds, and it makes it a lot easier. So I gotta tell you, like, unless it's just like a curiosity and passion, you want to learn really about the science, get a Digitone, because it's so much more rewarding and fun to just use. Anyway, so weird thing was, I swear that sound was not playing every time. Seems to be now. We'll just go ahead and pretend like it wasn't doing that. There we go. Okay, that's not bad. That is not a bad little ditty. I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and try to come up with another sound directly from the MEGAfm and just try to kind of, wrap this up. Let's get out of mute. Let's go ahead and bring everything back, since we're basically everything back. All right. I'm going to do a new patch. We should have a... That is the initialized patch on the MEGAfm. You can hear it's supposed to be just sine waves, but even that has some grit to it, which is, of course, the beautiful nature of this synthesizer. So if you are a child of the late 80s, early 90s, and if you loved Sega Genesis soundtracks, Street Fighter 2, honestly, is the better one. God, I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, the Sonic ones are great. The Dune one's pretty fun. What was the other? Oh, God, Echo the Dolphin. Oh, I love that song. I love the music from both of the Echo the Dolphin 1 and 2. Just fantastic compositions. This is the synth for you if you want to have stuff that sounds like that, or if you want just something gritty and off the wall like we're doing right now. So it's more versatile than I would normally think of this type of synthesizer. Very kind of relatively simple-esque FM synthesizer. It's very versatile, so it's a fun synth. But if you have that part in your heart, which has always loved those old school sounds, like this is a great way to bring back some of that old memories. All right, let's see if we can get a nice kind of let's see, do we want like a lead? We'll do a lead. I'm going to go ahead and use this unison mode. Maybe not. Getting a lot of... It's like I'm almost getting like a lot of phase on that attack stage of it. Well, I guess it's in there always. Okay, so let's go ahead and zero this all out. So this is the one kind of bummer of using, I assume these are analog controls. Detune, doom. So just so everybody knows, to zero this out in terms of the envelope, we bring the attack, the decay, and the release all the way down. The sustain, which is 2 parts on this envelope, are going to go both up. And detune down to 0. Malt seems to be like 8 or 4 seems to be a good amount. I'm going to turn the volume all the way down in these. We're going to go just with the operator 4 to start off with. Boom, boom, boom. Just zeroing these out for when we get to them later. Detune. Malt is 8. Going to bring that down. Boom, 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 boom. That's zeroed out. Okay. There we go. Almost had some attack. Some slower attack on that operator there. Okay. Let's do the wide 6 because we're getting a stack on that, which is nice. Poly 12 gives you all 12 voices. This is a 12 voice synthesizer, but it does actually have the 2 chips. So each chip is providing 6 voices. If you do go out in a single mono cable and set it to Poly 12, you could use all of those sounds together. One voice one voice across all of them. So basically 6 and 6 make 12 voices. If you do wide 6, it basically separates the 2 chips and it sends whatever voice control you're sending in there. It applies 1 to one chip and 1 to the other. So effectively you've now reduced the polyphony down to 6, but every note you play will have 2 voices playing. Dual channel 3 is this kind of weird, I have to look it up because I can't remember all the stuff, but it helps you make some really kind of weird percussion sounds is what my understanding. And unison was all the sounds on one monophonic note, but I didn't like the way that sounded. Not for a lead right now. That's got some power. So wide 6 seems to be the one I like the most. Okay, let's see what we got. Let me hear this song one more time. Okay, we don't want something that's overly crazy, I feel like. Let's find our algorithm. You know what? No, I take that back. Let's see what we can get. I want to do something with a lot of character, but not like overly aggressive. So I tend to find this one to be one of my favorite algorithms. Just to kind of go over this stuff real quick, we do have this thing called an algorithm that essentially organizes how these operators affect each other. In many ways, you can kind of consider some of the operators as LFOs in a way. Not really, but like they're similar. And that's kind of how FM works. It uses 2 oscillators. One's called a carrier, one's called a modulator. The modulator basically hijacks the carrier and mixes its energy with the carrier, and then that's your output. So you can get some complex waveforms from that. Traditionally just from sine waves, but you can also find, like, I think the TX 81Z from Yamaha, which was my first FM synth, actually had other waveforms besides sine, so that was kind of neat. You could use like saw waves and stuff like that to mix together. Anyways. All right, we are on algorithm 2. We are going to, from here, we'll start with 4. It's kind of counterintuitive, but I find that I like to start with the last, technically the true carrier oscillator with my hairy arm, because that's basically the last thing. That's really where the sound's coming from. So you can see if I turn that down, I got nothing. Let's see. I'm going to bring down sustain a little bit, and then decay down a little bit. Wow. There we go. A bit more like an electric piano where the attack is instantaneous, but it's kind of bringing down. You can hear the sustain's very low. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. These faders, particularly these ones here for the sustain, seem very biased towards the high end. So just a little bit of movement at the top makes a huge difference, where I feel like coming down it's a little bit less. That could just be me and my perception right now. I don't know. I'm not saying it's officially an issue, but okay. So the first thing we'll do, we can see here, if we go from 4 being our last, the one above it is 3. So this is the first modulator. So by bringing in the volume, I'm now sending that energy of operator 3 into operator 4. You can hear that sound changing. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here and bring a little decay. I'll bring this mult down. It's like a very simple FM keys. Okay, let's bring it back another step. So 2 and 1 are both going into 3. So they're both going to come in and basically bleed in. And then you can see this little square-ish thing around 1. That is called feedback, and it's actually sending itself back into itself, which is kind of weird sounding, but that's what it's doing. All right, so let's see here. Let's start with 1. Oh yeah, here we go. Now we're getting some very... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, went right into bass territory there. Oh, I liked it where it was at 7. Come on. Ooh, that is gritty. I think I'm switching over from a... That is gritty. Mellows out in the end there, which is kind of nice. Maybe I can... Okay, let's bring this melt down. I think I'm going to have to already just go ahead and put some effects on this, because how dry it is, it's really kind of killing the flavor for me, but this is better. Maybe a little chorus? What I will probably do is I will auto sample of this once I get it figured out, and then I'll basically have this entire patch sampled into this guy, which is a beautiful, beautiful feature also new to Electron is the auto sampling. A multi-sample, I should say. It's also auto sampling, but the multi-sample meaning I can have a sample per track, plus I can have variations for velocity for each one of those, and they did a good job on it. That sounds... Ooh, it's a nice bass sound. Okay, I got an idea. And we got 4 bars here. I usually start with 4 bars because that's just what I'm used to, and then worry about expanding later. But like I said, 16 bars in this beast. Okay. What am I doing here? Okay. 3, 4. I actually really like that so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to memorize. This is kind of new. This is a new way of doing it. No. I'm going to take it even a step farther. I'm actually going to go ahead and save this, which I have not done yet. Save project. And I am going to copy this pattern and leave the old one there so that I have essentially a scratch track or a preserved version of that. Because I like that. That's not too bad. But I want to really beef it up. What just happened? Oh God, I hope I didn't lose the other one. Oh, something happened when I... Oh, that's a bummer. I should have saved the preset on here. I bet you something... I sent out a program change message or something. What is that? I'm gonna see if I can kind of get everything back to where it was. Yep, definitely changed that. Okay. Bear with me here. Oh. What a bummer. I really like that sound. Okay. We're just gonna have to start over. Bummer. And that's my fault. I feel like an idiot right now because I didn't save the dang patch. Oh, save, people. Save. Always save. Alright. Well, let's see if maybe I can find... Okay, I don't know what has gone on in here, but we're going to take away all of these LFOs. Okay. That clearly had a lot of vibrato on it. Ooh. Not quite there, but good enough. There we go. It's not, again, what the sound was, but it's not bad. Okay. Save. I'll come back there. Cool. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is probably bounce that. quite there, though. Oh, a little more nasally. Yeah. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Oh, no! No! Dang it. This thing has such a hard... There's like 2 little buttons you got to push. Son of a bee. All right, let's see. What did I just mess with? I think I brought the tone of this down a little bit, right? Yep. Okay, I'm going to try and do this again. I got to hit both of these down at the same time. You bugger. Did it do it? Okay, well, it actually saved to the next one. Man, Twisted Electron, I do love this synth. I think it's great, but holding 2 buttons to save? Come on. Come on. I remembered to save, and I almost lost that patch because of these silly little 2 buttons. It's weird. Like you can see, I pushed them at the same time, but I must have just basically pushed that second one a little late, and it went and saved over 9. Can you imagine if you had something really awesome in 9 and all of a sudden it's gone? That would be upsetting. Okay. I'm going to auto-sample that. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. If you want to hang out, that's great. If not, I totally get that. But I'm going to go ahead and run this now because I want to save it. So, boom. We're going to go here. I'm going to get rid of this. We can discard that by holding function no. We're at recorder, but now I'm going to go back and go to auto-sampler. Okay. That sounds pretty cool though, but I don't need it. Throw it octave 0. Probably an octave 2, I think. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're in auto sampler. I'm gonna hit yes. It's going to test, measure the timing, which is really cool. So it's fixing the latency automatically. We got the source one correct. We're gonna go next. So we can just see this was set automatically, the fix and the latency settings. You can change that, but I'm not, well, let's hear. Oh, I see, no. So it's given us 8 milliseconds of latency, but it gives us 438 milliseconds of release because it's actually listened to the sound and did a good job basically timing it out, which is awesome. I love that feature. So go to next again. Here's where it gets a little confusing because I always have a hard time figuring out where, I mean, I'm thinking, so 1 octave, 2 octave, 3 octave, 4. I'm going to start, I'm thinking at 48. So we'll start at 48, and we only need 2 full octaves. 1, 2, 3. Let's say 3 octaves. So 48 plus 36, which is 3 times 12, is going to be 84. Sorry, 82. We dig this to 82. Oh, it was 84. Yeah, 84. I was right. And okay, so now we're sampling between 48 and 84. That's the notes on the keyboard, which I was saying we only need from octave 0 to octave plus 2. Here's where it gets interesting. So right now it's doing what's called, what do they call it? Oh, God. It's basically, I forget what they call it, but essentially the idea is that you're not going to have to sample every single note. You can sample one, and then you can sample a few steps up, and then basically by repitching, you can meet those middle notes in between there. So it kind of saves room, reduces the amount of how much it needs to occupy in your RAM, and also obviously your hard drive. I don't care about that though. I want the sound to be preserved as best as possible. So there is no velocity sensitivity to this patch, so we don't have to worry about the velocity layer. But I'm going to go to this setting here, the 3, which is represented by knob G, and I'm going to go to 1. So that means every single note that it is sampling in this range will actually capture a sample. So let's give it a shot. So it means we have 37 samples. Shouldn't take too long because we're not doing velocity layers. It's telling me it's 1 second. 1/1000. Yeah, that's probably fine. And it auto names, which is hilarious. You can change it. You couldn't before. They finally gave you an update. So this one's called Authentic Jigger. Ooh, I don't know if I like that one. All right, here we go. Of course, too low. All right. Cancel. I swear these octaves don't make any sense to me. Okay, so we're going to start. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to start 1 up. So that's actually at 60, and this will be at 96. That's fine. Little trial and error. Might have to fix. There might not be enough release on there. I'm going to turn the volume of my headphones down because this is going to be a little high pitched at the end there. Might be good enough in terms of the length, because I'm not really going for like long drawn out sounds here. But it is nice to have that as an option, so sometimes it does make sense. Redo, recording done, saved as. Okay, hit no. Okay. So I'm going to go to track 7. I'm going to go to source. We're going to do a multiplayer. What was it called? I forgot. It was something automatic jigger. Usually they're all sitting at the end. Yep, here we go. Achievable essay, soft weight, avoidable sprinkle. Ah, where did it go? It should have saved in here. I'm not seeing it. Okay, let's go back real quick and just see if maybe I need to see the name. So sample. Oh, this has got a different name, but I don't want to sample it again. We shouldn't have to. It said it saved it. Come on, where you at? It's still set as a single player, multiplayer. Where are you? Should remember that silly name. Let's just see if I should be able to find it. It's a 2-part name, 2 words. Not it, not it. It's just no thoughts. It should really be at the end, but I wasn't seeing it there. Utility muffin. I love that one. That's hilarious. Lantis, no. Square, pure, spectral, achievable. Essay. Nope, soft weight. Dude, I guess I didn't save it. Oh, what a pain in the butt. All right, well, I'm sorry to do this to everybody, but we got to do it again. Okay, measure it. Okay, it gave me a different release time, so that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and give it more. I'm going to give it 700 milliseconds. Last time was like 480, I think. Okay. 6096, sample every one. Feathered commentary. All right. Interesting. It loses that. And also, just for the record, too, we're hearing the reverb right now, but that's being done after the audio comes into the Tonverk, so that's not going to be in the sample. It's going to be dry. I should probably turn it off just so we could hear it better, but it doesn't matter because it won't be there. Some of that plunk comes back in at the top end. That's interesting. Now, honestly, with this one, I could have done something more interesting. I could have actually engaged the velocity layers because even though I'm not doing different velocities, all those velocity layers would have triggered the same level of sound, but because it sounds like every time I play that sound, something's slightly changing every time here, so it would have been kind of neat because then we're getting some more variation out of it. But this is okay. Okay. Recording done. Saved as feathered commentary. So I'm going to hit exit. I'm going to hit this guy. I'm going to go to multiplayer. There it was. So I guess it was in here. It must have been... Well, it doesn't matter. I got it now. So that was feathered commentary. Maybe it wasn't there. I don't know. Loaded them. Okay, cool. Now, I'm just going to prove it here by turning the MEGAfm off. And now, oh no, did it only record on the one end? I'm having a hard time here. Okay. All right. Let's just go ahead and delete the dang things. I'm having a hard time with this one. Okay. So samples, user, multi-sampled instruments. You're out of here. Delete, directory delete? I mean, I don't want to delete. Oh, because it's the, I see. Okay. Yes. Yep, gone. Yeah, it didn't save the other one. There's still some funkiness going on with this thing, man. Still some funkiness, but this part I messed up, so I'm going to try this one last time. We are going to go in, not that. There we go. I had it. Okay, that's what happened. I only have a mono jack coming into A, and I had it set to both, so I was looking for a stereo signal. If I set it to just A, you can see it turns into a mono. Let's do a test. I'm going to instill, crank this release up to 700. Well, 792. That works. Okay, over. That's all the same. That's all the same. Okay. Last time, hopefully. You know what? Lautish chord. No, we're going to go ahead and save this as something different. Let's call this Mega Pain in the... Let's call it Mega Pain. A little PG-friendly version of what I really wanted to say. But honestly, it's me. Well, most of it's me. Some of it's Tonverk, because that one didn't save. That was weird. It should have. All right. Again, this isn't gonna be like a big lead sound or anything. It's gonna have that kind of rhythmic sequence, so I'm not too concerned about all those velocity layers or variation like I talked about. But if this was gonna be like a keyboard patch or something that I was gonna want to play quite a bit, maybe even do some like live playing with it, I would definitely engage the velocity layers, because that changes so much when it comes to sounding like a realistic sound. Or I wouldn't say realistic, but more natural. Like it sounds more like it's actually being played by the synth versus just being samples. So it is 10 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute. Might as well enjoy my beer. I gotta say, it's a very cool time to be into synths. Probably the best in the world, unless an advanced civilization lived before us and had cooler stuff. I don't know. But for right now, I'm thankful as hell to be alive. I have multiple of these types of sampling-based machines that can do even more than that. You got the Tonverk, got the MPC Live, we've got the OPXY from Teenage Engineering, and the Machine Plus. All of them have auto samplers on there, which is just such a cool feature. I'm so happy that it's become the norm on those, because honestly, it's changed the game entirely. Okay. So that is still playing this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and mute this. Yep. Okay. I come over here to track 7. Oh, whoo, whoo. I start getting a little worried there. I need to go select the new one. So I guess that didn't delete because I had it in there. Mega Pain, right at the bottom. So honestly, not entirely. So let's hear what this is going to sound like if I take this pattern. What track was that? That was track 1. Copy the pattern, copy the sequence. Go to track 7, play it. I'll come back and mute this one. Yeah, it's not too bad. to actually have a little fun with this by coming over to my FX slot where I can load 2 FX per. This is very similar to the Octatrack, which is one of the best, coolest things ever exist on this planet. You do get to actually put in insert effects into the tracks. As far as I know, beyond the Octatrack, I unfortunately haven't had any time with the machine drum or the mono machine. Would love to get my hands on one of those or both of those. But as of the Octatrack, that was the last time I know that you could put insert effects until we got to the Tonverk. All the other ones are just send effects. All right. What if we tried? Let's try Chrono Pitch. That's cool. Let's see what else we got. Comb filter. Ah! There we go. Less depth. All the speed down. Yeah. Bring the filter in. Check out just a little bit of that high end. All right, well, I think that's a pretty cool little ditty we got going on here. I shouldn't say ditty, that's a lame word. That's a pretty great song, I think, honestly. Just as an idea to start from something, I think that's pretty fun. And now what I can really do is take just those sounds that are just in here now and just tweak the crap out of them and build something fun. So that's what I'm going to do over the next few days. Be kind of cool if I could hopefully get it done by Friday and release a new track, but I don't know, we'll see. But as for tonight, we did get through a fair amount of patch making. We did build what I would consider maybe the bones and a little bit of the tissue of the song. We're getting something. I mean, it's got some groove to it. And like I mentioned before, every single sound has come out of this MEGAfm. So that's another fun thing about using samplers and sequencers combined is you can take one synth and build an entire song out of it and use it for all the different parts that normally you can only generate one sound at a time. So very fun. Yeah, Tonverk, man, it's a very cool synth. They got a little bit more polishing to do on it. Not too much. It's a little few things here and there. But I know they're going to come up with some crazy cool stuff because that's Electron style. Within a few, I think less than 2 months, we got Grainer, which is a huge, huge deal. First real granular type synthesis on Electron as far as I know. So that was a pretty cool setup. I'm going to double save that again. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you, if you have any questions, I was glad to see Lapecal. I think that's how you pronounce it. Thank you for responding or writing out and having a little conversation. Yeah, I hope you all come back and see me next Tuesday. I am going to be switching things up at some point soon where I might be moving my stream to a different time and day and kind of changing a little bit the way it's done. But we'll get there when we get there. But for now, I'm doing verses for a few more weeks. So, all right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.